Hi guys, welcome back to Two Worlds Collide podcast. On today's episode, we have Amos Gill, Aussie born, now LA based, and one of the sharpest stand-up comedians doing it right now. He's toured the world with comedy heavyweights like Jim Jefferies and Jimmy Carr, roasted crowds around the globe, and built a reputation for saying what everyone else is too afraid to. In this episode, we cover everything from the absolute circus that is the US healthcare system, the fentanyl epidemic tearing communities apart, and Australia's growing obsession with sports betting. We dive into why young people were being turned off the military, not because they're soft, but because we keep telling them they come from genocidal roots. We talk about identity, truth, and how constantly apologizing for who we are, combined with being welcome to our own country in every setting of our lives, is pushing a generation into confusion, guilt, and inaction. And yes, we destroy the bloody woke. I hope you guys enjoy.
With you guys that did Afghan, and I living in America, I talk about this all the time. Like, I have a disdain for our foreign policy for so long, where I think, did you not see those helicopters and planes leaving and you were like, what was that for?
Yeah,
we abandoned the equipment and you just watch people desperately flee, and then whatever gains were made are just lost, and you think, well, that was
we replaced
just a forever war, wasn't it?
It took us 20 years to replace the Taliban with the Taliban.
Yeah. I used to do a joke about it, which I got a lot of crickets, which was, I'd say, really? Everyone would say, well, young girls finally got to go to school, you know? And I was like, but now that the Taliban's back, this guy goes, it's so bad for all the women, all the young girls of Afghanistan. I thought, well, there must have been one that saw the Taliban and they were like, fuck, I haven't done my maths homework. This is a win. You know, like, there was a few times in my life when I had an assignment due that I didn't do the work on, where I was looking over the horizon like, where are the Toyotas with the balaclavas? Someone kill this principal, get me out of here.
Someone strike this city with a nuke.
We could do with a drone strike on the fucking sports field, because I've been found wanting with the geography. Because some girls would be like, culturally, like, yeah, I don't want to go to school.
Yeah, I can't be fucked.
I'm doing PE in a burqa.
Yeah. This is so sweaty.
This is awful, dude. Yeah. But I do look at the futility of that, and you know, you go, it's very convenient, isn't it? They push us over there for 20 years, and then all of a sudden the Russia issue pops its head up again, almost as though there needs to be some perpetual conflict.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
That we grind through.
Yeah, the American war machine is real.
It is. How do you feel when you're over there with the Yanks?
Pretty invincible, to be honest.
Yeah,
I mean, they've got everything. They've got anything they want. Like everything, the weapons.
It's going on holiday with like your rich friend's family. Yeah. Like, you guys you've got access to that.
I was like that because I'm a northeastern kid. Went to Ross Trevor, so all my mates grew up in Burnside. So yeah, I was exactly that. And then I was in the army. Just repeated it again.
You just got to live under their umbrella. Yeah. But did you find? Okay, so American soldiers. When you watch the movies, you know, every time that they have international partners, they're kind of like, get in line, watch how it's done. Goddamn Aussies and Brits. Did you feel like you were their whipping boys, or they had a deep respect for Australian soldiers?
Nah, they loved us.
They loved you.
Deep respect. I remember one of the first times they were at the main base in one of the, just grabbing a coffee, and this one of these Yanks guys came in. He's like, that's it. I'm buying everyone here a coffee. Because you guys want to fight our wars? Coffee's on me.
Okay, yeah, good. So that's not the first time in history they've given stimulants to soldiers. Yeah, it's like, fucking hell, man. We used to get meth back in World War II. I get a cup of coffee? Far out, dude. I'm going into the green zone with a Nescafe.
That's it. Thanks for the double latte.
Give me a fucking EpiPen.
That's it. I'd rather than meth, please.
Yeah, so I just think that whole period of... So how old are you, Sam?
34, turning 35.
So we're around the same age. Yeah, it's mental. When you asked me to come on this podcast, to be honest with you, I was like, I feel like this is stolen valor, because I looked on your Instagram, it's just dudes telling harrowing stories when they were on the front line, and I'm like, I've had some tough gigs here and there. I've had some non-binary critics attack my stand-up. I've fought the culture wars.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah, I got a VC in the culture wars.
Oh, well, thank you for that, because mate, it's been doing my head in the last couple of years. But no, mate, like, a lot of people get that. A lot of people are like, hey, I don't know if I'm, you know, worthy to come on.
Yeah, you messaged me a few times. I was like, what the? I mean, I've done a couple of gigs for the SAS. I'm like, do I march on Anzac Day in the entertainers division? I know you had Merrick Watson. He thinks he's a soldier because he was on fucking SAS TV show. I mean, honestly.
He loves it.
Merrick is obsessed. I think like they hypnotized him over there, and he's now like, I served.
Yeah, he must have done something. He's like, I've seen war. Give me my PTSD claim.
Like he's a lot with that. Like I know, like I'm one of these guys that's I'm constantly bitching about the fall of Western civilization, and I just spend my time on the news and reading these things. I mean, I've spent last night doing about 85,000 documents from the JFK files, and I'm constantly talking about foreign policy, and then you get around actual soldiers and you're like, oh, I'm a bitch, man. I'm in the, you know what I mean? I'm not. I'm like, we need to defend the West. And then I go, when a real war happens, I'm the guy who is like, good morning, Vietnam. I'm playing songs. I'm like, here's Ed Sheeran, boys.
You're going over there for comedy gigs.
Yeah, I'm doing the gigs. I'm like, and no one, I get booked for a lot of gigs for troops. And all I think is like, they don't want this. They want a strip show.
Yeah, we do. Yep. We just want to look at boobs.
When you look at soldiers and they're putting their lives on the line, you're like, now here's a bloke who's going to come and tell you a couple gags.
Yeah.
It's like, get a pussy in my face.
That's it.
Big titties.
I could just watch the YouTube version of this.
Yeah, there should be. I've always thought the Defence Force should have its own OnlyFans division where girls make exclusive content. Soldiers
in uniform.
Yeah, in uniform. They get their own full division. I mean, in Russia, I've always was fascinated with this. The Russian military has a division of veterans who are basically prostitutes who fucked the soldiers in the fight in World War II, and they're like honoured on the streets as like they were a corps that helped morale.
They must have got medals for it.
They did.
I wonder if like how many guys just like with like how many gongs you got.
Rank. Oh yeah, they'd be like, man, that is a 4-star general.
400 guys in 1 year, 4-star general.
Yeah, it was a mass fucking grave of jism. General Zhukov.
So like on one side they're giving him free sex, on the other side they were giving him free meth. Yeah,
well, now that sounds like the West Coast Eagles 2007, doesn't it?
One of them a flag though.
Exactly, and the Russians got their victory. Yeah. But do you think about this now? Like you're out completely.
Done.
Okay, so I don't know what you were like pre-joining the military. Were you paying attention to like why you were going?
Did you want me to tell you why?
Yeah, I'm fascinated by that.
So I had a cousin. His name's Scott Palmer. I've told this story so much on the podcast, but for you, I'll tell it again.
Yes.
So he
Cut
was
this for the audience. They're tuned off right now.
But mate, he was my cousin. He was 8 years older than me.
Yes.
Hero of mine. And when I was younger, he was in the military serving over in Afghan.
Sure.
Went to 2 Commando and did more deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan, that sort of stuff. He would call me, I would go visit him. So me and him had a really, really special relationship. Mm-hmm. So when it was time, I'm like, and I'm in year 12 at Ross Trevor, I'm like, I'm just going to the army. That's all I'm doing.
Yes.
And I didn't really care about anything political. I just cared about the life he lives.
Yes.
I want that life.
And did you, now that you've served, you've seen the realities of situation overseas, now when you're watching the news, do you have a different lens of like, they're trying to push us to go to Iran?
Massively.
We're not going to go die in Iran. Why are we going to Iran? What's this? We're working for the IDF here? You feel that a lot?
Yep. The Iraqi war should have never started in the first place. We should have never invaded Iraq, because out of Iraq as well, ISIS rose.
Yes.
So the American government pretty much propped up ISIS there, and they started that, which came back to bite them in 2015, 16. And ISIS were like the worst.
Well, this is the thing, is our generation has had so much more open access to information. You talk to some boomers or whatever, they still think everything's a conspiracy theory, and you're like, no,
it's wild,
like,
isn't it?
The Mujahideen, these are all floated by the CIA because, they're warring against communism, so they arm these rebels, and then guess what? These rebels don't turn out to like us, and they've got an axe to grind, and then most of the time we're funding both sides to keep things moving. Like in Syria, who knows what's going on over there? And if I was a soldier, it seems a lot clearer to go and fight a war where it's like 2 uniform side, and you're like, I'm protecting my country. But right now, if I was going to be in the military, outside of understanding that there's a great life of discipline and camaraderie that you get out of being a military person, I think, what's it about? Like, there's not a clear mission anymore, it feels.
No, there's not.
It's a lot of doubt. So I wonder how they're going with getting people to join.
They're suffering massively.
Yeah?
Yeah, they can't get anyone to join at the moment. I think they're even talking about, I've seen a few articles of importing fighters.
Of course. Yeah.
You know, just like we import everything else. and like, what is it at the moment? We're getting the highest level of people flooding into the country, immigration.
So basically, essentially, the Australian government's plan is when the war with China happens, it's more of a civil war.
Yeah, more of like an Indian army, and they can just fight each other.
Because we'll get Indian and Chinese troops together, and they famously get on very well. So there'll be no
there won't be any issues
in the
there.
rank and file.
No, nothing at all.
No, because I think that's massive in America. Obviously, it's such a big. Because if you lived in the States, we don't really have the same thing as in America. Like when you board a plane, it's like military first, military discount. Yeah. If you go to the movies, military. Australians don't really have anything for that. You get Anzac Day, you flick some fucking coins, a bit of two up, and they're like, "We'll see you next March." Yeah,
that's it. But mate, and America is funneled towards that, right? Because
of course they want to recruit, right? Yeah. They need the bodies,
and like they have more military bases than the Roman Empire did at expansion. So they're just expanding. They've got military bases everywhere. But there's a reason that they push that narrative within their countries, because they need to control that security of the world. So let's really glorify the soldiers. That's what they do.
Yeah, and they also, a lot of people talk about like, why do these people go and volunteer at this point? It's like, it's the only way to get your healthcare. Really, you 100%. Come from a poor family, you get your healthcare. You get and so, listen, people also need purpose. I don't even know what my beliefs are anymore on this. Where I'm like, well, maybe. We're this brief period of history where we're like, oh, I don't want to die. Other people are like, well, you have to die. So, what am I doing it for?
Yeah.
It'd just be nice if it was clear. You know, at least the Nazis had uniforms. You saw who they were.
That's it.
You know?
All their information was controlled.
That's why the Nazis are the best villains in movies, is because you don't need to explain the backstory.
You can just kill them.
You just immediately see him and you go, oh, for God's sake.
That's a bad guy.
Yeah, that's why in Indiana Jones, they're brilliant. Now in the modern Indiana Jones, you're like, is he a bad guy? I don't know, what are you doing, Indy? You're stealing shit as well. This guy's a prick.
Yeah, mate. It's like the rise of social media has just been given everyone, and they like, thankfully for Elon Musk, like we were only seeing one side for so many years, and then COVID hit. It's like, hang on, like what's going on here? Why are you telling me this? Why are you stopping this person from talking?
I know. I call it barometric syndrome though, because getting the information has been really good, but there's also people that had no idea that anything was going on. And I say, when you catch a fish, I don't know if you've ever been deep sea fishing, but you pull a fish up from the deep and its head explodes. Right?
No, I've never had that.
So when a fish is coming from so low down, the barometric pressure as it comes to the surface will just blow its head up and its eyes come out.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what social media in the last few years post-COVID has done to like most of our parents, is they're just like, everything's alive, fuck! And their head just explodes. And then they can't believe anything anymore. We've all got conspiracy mum now.
Yeah.
Well, that she won't touch any food, and she's like believes that everything's a conspiracy, and she's probably correct. But it's like at some point you need a national myth. You need to believe in some lies here.
Yeah, that's it. Well,
you can't get. Everyone's like, we need the truth. The truth is horrible. We have these myths for a reason. We got to get up and go to work. There's no reason for work. Currency's a lie. Everything's fake. We're floating through space. We're but a dream. Like, God, give me something to cling on to, dude. Waltzing my fucking Tilda. Now in Australia, they're like, the land's stolen. You're like, well, fucking, what do I do now?
Yeah, that's it.
I'm not allowed, and that's why the Welcome to Country always freaks me out, is I always see it as like some top-down commie plot to basically remind the population that they have no right to resist what comes next in the country when it becomes some techno-feudalist state. And you go, who are you to resist? You stole it anyway.
I hate being welcome to my own country. It's I know there's a time and place for it, but Christ, they just overdo it
repeatedly.
Mate, where was I?
Listen, I've been everywhere, and that's all that you get welcomed everywhere.
I was at the Fringe last night at watching Jared Goundry, and they had it play on before he started.
That happens everywhere. It's and it's a great vibe set before comedy, isn't it? To be reminded of some kind of land theft genocide. And you go, I'm in the mood now. Well, we're here to watch Shrek the Drag Show.
Yeah, Jared really gave me a good point, is that low-level comedy is controlled by the ABC?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, and most things in this country, that's why, that's half the reason I left, is if you want to make a living from this, you've got the ABC and there's certain, and we all know, and people go, there's no direct censorship. No, the censorship is a culture of self-censorship where people go, how am I going to have a career? Here's some things. Is it worth me picking the fight in these topics? I believe probably not.
Yeah.
So just be silly and have a fun time and say whatever is going to get you the job. And then, so that's government censorship, is this soft censorship where it's like, we all feel this atmosphere of like what's acceptable. And then on the corporate side, there's also censorship, which is advertising. advertisers, which is don't say this to upset the advertisers. Do you want your paycheck? It's not worth the fight.
Yeah.
So there's really a very small lane to upset both sides, and that's like just the internet. It's the people that have made the internet their ability where they can say whatever they want, like direct to consumer.
Yeah, okay.
But everywhere I go in Adelaide for this festival is a welcome to country, business meetings, everything, except for I went to the Palace. They're not doing it there. Which I found, to be honest, quite disappointing, knowing that a lot of these sluts are racist. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you're shaking your ass, but on whose land? That was my feeling overwhelmingly.
Yeah, 10% of their tips should be going to them.
We need to decolonise the strip club.
Yeah, mate, I was so surprised last night before Jared's gig. I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? But mate, I don't really get out much, as you probably noticed. So
you're a homebody, huh?
Yeah, I'm a bit of a.
This is a bit of a compound, isn't it,
mate? Before this podcast, I didn't have social media for like 5 years.
Really?
Yeah,
well, it's better.
It is 100%
now you're
better.
fucking sucked into this world.
Yeah, I know. Now
like I was saying to you, like, you know, podcasting, you asked me a few times, like I said, I had this thing of going, I've got nothing to share. I don't have any great stories. I'm a fucking sheltered little bitch. But also, I live overseas and I come home and I'm a wog, so I've got 1,000 cousins.
Yeah.
And they're all furious that I haven't seen all of them yet. And I'm like, well, fucking record the conversation.
Yeah, that's it.
If you've got better social media numbers, I'll be there, mate.
Yeah, get me via Skype when there's like 5 of you and we'll get into a room and then I can get you.
But according to my cousin Richard, mate, grow your fan base and we can catch up for a coffee. I got tickets to move, brother. You know, that's the future of a family catch-up, is everyone on headphones. And you record it.
Well,
although I did a podcast with my grandfather the other day. It wasn't really a podcast. I just recorded his life story.
Oh, that's cool.
Because my family were like, you should get his story, because he's a 95-year-old old, you know, Croatian dude.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's not going to live that much longer, and he's had such an interesting life.
Well, he would have been there with the...
He was there
Slavic War and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that would have been crazy.
They were back and forth from the Slavic wars, and
years.
Such an interesting thing to see him like through World War II.
Yeah.
Then like there's, you know, the state of Yugoslavia, those wars. Then the 90s war, and just tough as nails. You barely got any emotion out of him his whole life, right? Like he is like he's what I wish I could have in a stoic sense. Because growing up with him, he was so foreign to me, where you would say things to him like, we call him Dida. That's grandfather in Croatian. We'd go, Dida, what's your favorite food? And he would say, to be hungry. If hungry, all food good.
Wow.
Flavor is for lazy people. If you work hard, any meal is a number one, a very good flavor.
Wow, and that's crazy.
And I remember thinking as a kid, like, what is wrong with this guy, you know?
Yeah.
And you get older and you're like, that is true. Putting in a shift, you're just happy to eat. You're happy just to sit down, like just having a chair. He used to say that. For fun, I work and then I stop.
Yeah.
If I work, when I stop, how good?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I work no more and I relax, right? So this is his whole life. Now he has prostate cancer and they're hitting him with estrogen.
Oh.
So I went to go and visit him. He's getting estrogen shots. Dude, he was hugging me yesterday crying, and it was so... He's like, oh, I love you very much more. You love... Oh, you are a good... And it's like, man, I think... Never mind like transgender teenagers with these hormonal therapy. We need a little bit of hormonal therapy with our elderly grandfathers who haven't showed any... Not the whole way, but just like one shot.
Just give him
a partial transition so you can tell him you love him and he can replicate that back.
Yeah, that's it.
It was but it was so much that I did start to be like, all right, man. You know, a bit of respect's walking out the door.
Take it easy, will you?
He's just sitting there eating a fig, crying at the flavour.
You're far out.
That's what I love about coming. I love going into like the Wog family back. Australian Wogs are a special breed.
They are.
There's like nowhere else, because everywhere else, the kids like an Italian American, a Greek American, a Lebo, Indians, their own group. But here we just like unionized into one mass.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And like we have our own little environment.
Mate, I went to a school at Ross Trevor and there was just like half the kids were Italian. And they were great, mate. I fucking love them.
Bro, but there's no reason why we have to do this voice, but we picked it. We were like, what if we all just did one voice? And now even like Sudanese guys are like, hey, go on, bro, you're right. This voice just says, one of my parents was not from here.
Yeah.
Rossi's was super Wog.
Who's that? Ross
Trevor was a super Wog school.
Yeah. Like we were better at soccer than we were at footy.
Yeah. But even your footy team, like I remember I went to Mercedes, you'd play Ross Trevor.
Yeah, we would spank you guys by like 20 goals.
Mate, grade 8, it was just like, because the Italian kids have gone through puberty at 12.
They're like 20-year-olds. You're playing blokes with full beards.
Yeah, like I'm there with my dad, and then the Rossi boys like had a son.
Yeah. Come on, kid. They're like driving.
He's talking to his own kids at the halftime huddle, like, "You watching Dad today?" You're like, "How does this even work, bro?" Just a big fucking Italian lad.
Yeah, mate. We were a pretty good footy team. Pretty good footy.
Did you play football?
Yeah.
This is your way in also to, because I'm looking at you now, 34. You're lean. You've got one of those fucking calf socks on.
Yeah, I'm about to run from Melbourne to Adelaide.
Are you really?
Yeah, 1,000 k's.
So why have you got that calf thing on? Have you got compartment syndrome or whatever it is?
No, I just had a small calf injury, so I just needed to heal up quick. Because I start running in like 12 days.
So this is the problem though. Everyone's running somewhere.
Yeah, they are.
You got to go longer and longer and longer.
They are.
You go, I'm going to run from Adelaide to Melbourne. They're like, someone's already done that.
It's not that far.
Cane corns.
It's not that far.
Who's that other bloke that ran across Africa? What's left?
I know. I like Ned Brockman's a big one. He's run everywhere.
Man, start in Moscow, finish in Gaza. That's something.
That's it.
You got to up it barefoot.
You need to run through somewhere where you can get shot at as well. I mean, like, that's really...
Dress up as a drag queen and run the entire length of the Middle East.
Yeah. That's impressive.
That is impressive. You're on a mission to heal.
Oh, I mean, you run pretty quick as well. If you're not dodging IEDs, you're dodging bullets.
Saying,
you're dodging
You've got to have good lateral movement.
Yeah.
It's very easy for fucking Brockman and Kane and, I've got to support. Middle East, pride flag.
That's it. Wrapped around your neck.
I come in peace.
Oh, man, that would be brilliant. I mean, that's the ultimate run. Maybe I should do that for next one.
So how's your mental, like, do you go with music or without?
Without. I've never run with music.
Never. So you think people that run with music, it's like...
Weak.
It's weak.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dude, I've left the gym because I had a flat battery on my phone. This is I love this stoic world like you inhabit, right? I'm all about it. Jocko Willnick.
Yeah, he's a good one. David Goggins.
The Goggins.
He goes too far.
I'm all about like the self-growth, but at the same time, I'm so fucking soft.
Yeah. Like personally.
Like I will be up at 3 a.m. watching David Goggins talking about how you're meant to wake up at 3 a.m. Like my addiction to self-help podcasts is my problem with my life. Where I'm like, I should be asleep right now, but I'm going like, no, I'll just watch another episode about efficiency.
Yeah.
And that means I'm going to sleep through my alarm tomorrow. And I've had like phases where I've had 5 ACL tears.
Really?
And each one of those, like I came back from, and the most recent one just has mentally shattered me. Like I just went, oh man, I've got a woman that loves me. I do comedy. Getting fat wouldn't be this is as fat as I've been.
Yeah.
Like right now I'm like, what's that camera's close. My head's going to be fucking huge. I'm like I'm looking for body positivity at this point. That's how I know I'm getting soft as I'm like,
I'll have to get some AI editor for you, slim it up.
Dude, I need that fucking filter, that jawline filter.
Yeah.
Because but it's true. Like I've had a lot of times recently. So what happened was I tore my ACL at the Edinburgh Fringe playing a charity soccer game. Okay.
I thought you were about to say performing on stage. I'm like, what?
I'm very mobile up there. No, I was playing the charity soccer game and I'd had the knee surgery 13 months prior and I thought, don't play soccer.
12 months.
And then I went, no. Like the point of the surgery was that I literally did the surgery so I could do the things I love. Let's get out there. 15 minutes. I'm sort of just tracking back like leads, soft. I went in on one 50-50 challenge. And he's this guy from Portugal, a good friend of mine, Andre, thinks he's Cristiano Ronaldo. I fucking sliced him up. And I got this testosterone boost that just went through me. I got up like... And then it lit a fuse in me, and man, I'm sprinting every ball, and I was like, I'm back. And the sad thing about this is as a person who's devoted his whole life to sports, my weekends were Friday night footy. I'd play soccer in the morning, footy in the afternoon, then club footy on a Sunday. Like it was my whole life. Then you just stop, and then you go, I've got mental health problems.
Yeah,
it's like the thing that you love, your rewards circuit, you've fried off because you don't do it anymore. And it's like it came back and I was like, I'm so happy.
Yeah.
And then fucking get tired. Ball comes over my head, twist, snap. Oof. Edinburgh Fringe. raining every day, cobblestone steps. I've got the goddamn crutches out. So they're getting caught in cobblestones. I'm not saying that was my Afghan. But I was a man left behind, and comedians are very selfish. They were not helping me. I didn't have any brothers get me to the fucking show, man. It was just out there by myself. I was a lone survivor.
Oh, wow.
Taking me about 50 minutes to walk to a gig. And now I've just let myself sort of get fat and I don't run.
Have you fixed it?
I haven't fixed it. I'm going without. I'm just going to...
Going to go without.
I'm going to go without because...
I mean, you can run in straight lines for the
I
rest
can't
of
even
your life.
afford it, dude. Because I don't have health insurance and I keep...
Over in States?
No, I don't have health insurance in the
Oh,
States.
no shit.
Yeah. So my health insurance used to be, I'll just fly home to Australia.
Yeah, I was about to say, can't
but then
just
I
do that?
forgot to pay that. Because I'm just a fucking idiot. And so I was like, I'm not doing 10 grand. I'll just like strengthen it in the gym. I watched like a UFC video where they were like, all these UFC fighters can just strengthen the leg.
Mate, you need to look at
I'm going to actually have the discipline.
Yeah, you need to look at Ben Fitzpatrick, the knees over toes guy.
Yeah, I heard about this guy.
So because I've had a knee recon. I fixed it though.
Yeah.
Mate, I can run so far on it and not get no pain.
Well, the running's okay. It's always just
Turning
sports,
turning,
yeah. Or like I play tennis or something, like do something dumb. I pulled one playing fucking paintball. So there's my story. Paintball's defending a base.
that was your Afghan.
Oh, I had to kill a 12-year-old with paint.
Shot him right there.
Yeah, it was a younger sibling's birthday party, and I got out of hand.
It was a headshot. Headshot.
But I ran around. No, I ran around a corner. It just gives out all. My mum did 4, so I think we have a genetic.
Yeah, okay.
Because we're little wogs and we've got a lot of power on the lower half.
Yeah.
And I don't think the knee joint can take it, And the fatter I get, the more the body's like.
100%.
And America is that is something you do think about in the States, which I didn't think about here. For all my love of America, the healthcare thing is when you don't have it. Like I had an impacted wisdom tooth. And I just went to the dentist and I was in so much pain. I was like, let's get this taken out. You get in the chair and this guy's like, okay, I'll just leave you with a pricing representative. And I've got all the stuff on. You know what I mean? I open up, I've got the glasses, the bib. And this guy comes over and he's like, now, for that tooth being taken out, plus this and that and laughing gas and the pain, that's going to be $8,500 US.
Bullshit.
$8,500 to take out one tooth.
When you're ready to go,
which is what, 16 grand. You're ready to go, and they're planning that like people would have too much pride to leave at that point. Mate, I fucking spat that mouth thing out, glasses off, did a full storm off. I was like, mate, I get a business class flight home to get this taken out. I'm not paying $8,500, but I'm in so much pain, dude. So I stormed out of there, couldn't come back in. Went on a group called Aussies in LA. That's a Facebook page that I rely on a lot. And I said, I've got big dental problems. I'm in a lot of agony. What can I do? And they go, here's a guy's number. He's a university tutor at the dental school at USC. He operates an illegal dental clinic between the hours of 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. with his sister. So there's these 2 Iranian dudes, right? They get their sisters as the nurses. They shoot during the day, so they open that up. Man, I walk in there, there's like a line of 3 people. He's like, brother, I will be with you very soon. So I just wander in. He's like, we can't have any. We can give you one pain jab, but we don't have access to the other stuff. So you might feel a bit of this. I don't know. Fucking him and his sister are just arguing in Farsi or whatever that language is, and he's yanking my fucking tooth out. And I'm like, this is so cooked. I'm like, this is a Dr. Nick situation from The Simpsons. Yeah. Got the tooth out, gave me a script for like 30 oxy. I'll give you his number. and I remember thinking like, this is the biggest and greatest country in the world. And to get my tooth out, I've had to pay an immigrant under the door money to break into a university.
How much did it cost you?
$400. Cash.
Oh, wow.
Cash, mate. Cash money.
Far out.
And I wanted to go back to the other dentist and be like, mate, you piece
of shit.
You've been run out of town. I don't know if that guy's still running that, but what a business.
Mate, what's it like in LA at the moment? Are you still living in LA?
Yeah, I live there. I'm trying to move to Austin.
Yeah. So the Joe Rogan filter's done this, right? He's moved everyone to Austin.
He's moved everyone to Austin. He's got the club. I don't know how I feel about it. Like, I probably like New York, Austin. My missus is from Chicago, but we're both in LA. LA's okay. The Aussie in me loves the ocean.
Yeah.
Like, I always want to live other places, but there is something about having a dip when you've grown up with the ocean that you don't want to throw that away. Because I always think, I don't need it really. How often do you go? But when you do go, like, I used to go, I'm at the beach. I'm a beach person. I love going to the beach.
Yeah, okay.
But dude, the homelessness is haunting.
Man, I was talking to a mate about this. He just recently went to New York, and he said it is wild, the homelessness there. And everyone's on that, what's that, fentanyl.
The fentanyl, yeah. Well, cocaine is dead in America because of that.
Yeah.
Right, so no one does coke. Like, everyone in Australia seems to do coke. But I do really think that it's a strategic weakness for Australia is, like, the cocaine use in America was big, but it's nowhere near as big per capita as we are. Like, everyone,
it's huge.
Everyone you know in Australia, you come back and you really notice that, like, everyone's like, let's, nose beards, we're on the bags. And if fentanyl gets in here the way that it has in the United States, like, thousands of young people who just do it recreationally will be dead.
Yeah.
Like, Americans have a completely, like, when you go to a bar, like, I've just opened up this club for the Adelaide Fringe. If we were in America, I'd probably have to have a Narcan kit.
What's that?
A Narcan kit is like to reverse the effects of opiates.
Really?
Where you jab people and to try and bring them back to life. Like a lot of bars...
A shot of adrenaline?
It's basically a severe shot of adrenaline.
Yeah, okay.
Like, a lot of bars have to have that now because so many people are dying from fentanyl. Like, the comedy club that I work at, there's a bunch of comedians bought a bag of coke and 4 of them just died.
Because it was fentanyl?
Because it was fentanyl in there. It's just small granules in there. And...
Christ.
And, and that's a lot of that stuff is sent from China to the cartel. And then the cartel makes that, ships it across the border.
So that's why Trump's got his tariffs on, right?
This is a big thing he talks about. But I love looking at the long geopolitical play, which is we had the opiate wars with China. And we got them addicted to opium and kind of fractured their culture when we were the British Empire anyway, when they were fighting the Chinese for, Hong Kong and things like that.
Yeah.
And the Chinese don't forget.
No.
And now they're shipping fentanyl into our drugs. And, it's like to them, it's like a long strategic game. I'm sure if we have fentanyl in here, which I heard it's in Queensland.
Yeah.
It's a genuine fucking problem. Because Aussies are severely addicted to cocaine.
Yeah, well, like, look at
For the cash, dude. $400 or $350 a gram. Like, no wonder there's a housing crisis.
Like, I reckon we have a higher addiction rate of anyone per capita in the world. Look at the betting markets. Like, every 18-year-old is on sports bet.
Yeah.
And it's just, they all fucking love it.
Well, that's also our best bet. I mean, the economy is so broken. You know what I mean? Like, at school, really, PE, you shouldn't even bother learning PE. PE should be about picking the best multi.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Or like learning value.
Yeah. Now you just go to women's sports and you're just like, who's got the Adam's apple? Who's got that? I'm betting on that one.
Yeah, man, that is the best, dude. Just looking for the bold. Yeah. I'll go with that team,
Yeah.
But I do think that is funny with the sports bet, how, because it's come to America now. It's starting to, like, really grow. But I'm like, I've kind of vaccinated against that. I've had sports bet, and I like a little flutter here and there, but
everyone loves a multi.
I love a long,
like a $20 one. Yeah, $20, 20 legs.
Where you're like, I've got fucking Lazio to draw with Napoli. I've also got Donald Trump to be assassinated. I need that leg to come through. And I've got Vladimir Putin, daughter reveal, a Tesla stock price, and transgender Cambodian netball league. and it's going to pay me $2.5 million. Like, we really, really fucking love it. Okay, so, a lot of countries, I was trying to come up with this idea for Australia, which was, having a sovereign wealth fund like Norway has, which is their royalties tax on all of their minerals and oil. And then they have the sovereign wealth fund, and the sovereign wealth fund helps pay for, their healthcare and their education, and, it has enriched them. And Australia has all these minerals which we kind of have given away at a real discount rate.
For free.
It's fucking infuriating.
For free.
But Australians, particularly like the boomer generation, have been so propagandized. They're like, that's fucking communism, mate.
Yeah, that's right.
Gina Reinhardt deserves that money. And like BHP with all those American, shareholders behind them, they deserve to take our resources. And I'm like, well, I think that's the problem. Is sovereign wealth fund seems too commie. But what if we called it like a sovereign punt fund?
That's right.
Which was we basically set up a communal syndicate where we have a punter in chief. So we pick one person to put multi-bets on behalf of the country.
Who would that be? I'm trying to think.
Nathan Brown.
Yeah.
Like Billy Brownless and Nathan Brown. Like, imagine if that was the case, right? So instead there's treasurer, and then there's the punter in chief, and it's the best gambler, like Tim Narkey or something. Like, what if Tim Narkey I know he's Kiwi, but like we got Tim Narkey.
We'll claim him though.
Yeah, we get Tim Narkey, and he basically is given a certain amount of the federal budget from the minerals we're taxing. So we tax the minerals, we put that into a sovereign punt fund, right? The Australian syndicate, and all taxpayers get a share of that. And then it's his job to put together a multi each week. That would be the best TV show, is him doing our country's multi-bet for the weekend sport. And then I tell you, this would be a national crisis. 6 legs have come through, the Matildas lose. Like, these bitches! They're fucked now. Because you couldn't bet against your own nation. That's the thing. Like, imagine if the punter in chief was like, I'm going against the Australian cricket team. That's fucking treasonous.
You can't do that.
And then that's like an inside job. The national team starts throwing results to get us out of debt.
Mate,
but I think that would work.
I couldn't see it not working.
Just give us like a Miller weekend.
Yeah.
A Miller weekend. And just put it on the nose of a horse in Hong Kong. Just see what happens.
Yeah, get it on the dogs, because they can water them dogs down. It's funny as, mate. I've got a mate, I won't mention his name, but he bets on the dogs every now and then, and he sends me like some tips, and they always come in because he just knows the trainers. They just fucking water them down before they run and shit. So I get them to drink a lot of water, and then they'll run them.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
So my grandfather was a bookmaker when we were kids. He lost everything. He was like, my grandfather, his father was in World War II and came home, got hit by a truck and died like a week after World War II or something. Like,
so he survived World War II.
Survives,
hit a truck.
Survives like the Japanese, but had a few pints or whatever and got hit by a truck. And like, to me, I see that as like our family story, which is like just luck and tragedy.
Yeah.
You know, like, wow. That could you imagine the odds of that?
Mate, that's wild.
And so anyway, my grandfather's 12 in Renmark when he gets the family farm, and he becomes like the man of the house. And this is what I was talking about, like how those people had their age that they actually had to live like in maturity. Yeah. Compared to us. At 12, looks after his mother, has a farm. His farm goes okay, and then for some reason he just got into bookmaking, and he ended up doing super well over the years. And my earliest memories of him was he would be watching the dogs. Yeah. And he'd be watching, like back in the day, the way that he would do it, you'd watch the dogs or the horses or whatever, and then he'd like press play, and he'd be watching just one horse. He'd hit it, and then he'd be like, how did it start? Pause. And he'd write a note. Got out well. Yeah. Jumped out of box. Play.
So he was an early professional bettor.
That was, and then he is the bookie, so he had to do that for all of this work, and he made a real good amount of money. And then he should have left, because once the tab came in and online betting, he was trying to compete against them. Yeah. And I just watched him lose. Like, he just lost everything.
The house always wins.
But the last thing that happened with him is he took a big bet from Macau. Some like Chinese billionaire did a bet with him for like a couple mil. And and my grandpa won. He won them. He
did. He won.
Yeah, but the guy didn't pay, so he sent my uncle over there to go. Let's collect the money. From apparently, this businessman just pulled out a fucking revolver and was just like, I reckon we're square. And so like there is this like sword in the stone myth for my family, which is there is a $2 million owed to us from some Macau gangster. And whichever cousin is brave enough to go over there
to go and collect.
So what I'm saying is, the reason I'm here today is, I don't know if you've got any boys who are a little trigger finger itchy and want a mission, but we got $2 million in Macau with interest. I reckon that's 4.
I've got a mate with a Belgian Malinois attack dog that he's still kept in the military, and it has titanium teeth. He would probably do it for you.
Let's get a squad.
He would do it for you.
Now I'll stay in the van. I'm the guy in the earpiece. You guys do that, but I'll split it with you. I swear to God.
Mate, I'll set it up for a 20% fee.
Let me ask you about that. Actually, this is a ridiculous riff, but did people ever think of being? How many of your friends even thought about being mercenaries afterwards?
I know a few.
Or contractors.
Yeah. I know a few that are in the UAE right now doing it.
Yeah.
And a bunch of guys that ex-military guys have spent a lot of time doing military contracts in Afghan, Iraq, that sort of stuff. Heaps of people do it.
And like people in Africa and stuff. And
yeah. So I've got guys that have done counter poaching in Africa, all through Africa.
Yeah.
And I also have a few friends, and this is a sad subject, but a few friends that do counter child human trafficking around the world.
I saw you when I was right before I was here. I was actually parked in your driveway, and I was like, let me just go see what goes on what is on this podcast. And there was a lot of that gear.
Yep.
So I remember, and this is like, I feel like this is the thing that's bubbling to the top everywhere around the world, is like the child exploitation that people just turn their heads to.
Yeah.
And obviously, we don't want to dredge up this vibe shift, but everyone knows in the Middle East, like all these Taliban people, it's the young boys thing.
It's wild,
revolting.
Yeah,
it's like a currency.
Yeah, mate. Out of all the stuff that happened over in Afghan, and me and my mates have spoken about this a lot. Guys dying, losing their legs. Suicide bombers or cars getting blown up in IEDs. The stuff that sits with me now more than ever is the stuff happening to kids over there.
Well, because you're like, the soldiers are out, but they're still there.
Yeah. Yeah, so like we had a 13-year-old suicide bomber when we were there.
Yeah.
Happened to a Yank patrol that we were with. But then you'd also see little girls sold off into marriages at the age of 6, 9, that sort of stuff. Little boys, which is a bit tragic as well. Like they were used as child soldiers during the day.
So every person I've ever met in the military, American, Aussie, Brits, right? This is something that comes up everywhere. And it's like they see this. And then in public discourse, people are like, what's with all this fucking conspiracy stuff about pedophile cults everywhere? And it's like, well, these people have been there, mate. They've seen on the front that a lot of these cultures are like openly pedophilic.
Yeah, the Islamic culture, it's in their Quran.
But like, not just that, it's like even now in our own country, we see like with the Epstein's Island, and it seems that wherever there's a concentration of power, and as a Catholic, the vulnerable kids in the Catholic Church, whenever there's like an apex unchecked group, they seem to turn to children immediately. And
it's weird, isn't it?
We're all trying to get a hold of like what that is, because there's a lot of evidence coming out that in many cultures there's such exploitation of children.
Yeah.
And I was not religious for a long period of time. I still don't really know what I am, but I occasionally go back to some Latin Catholic mass here and there. Mm-hmm. And I'm so convinced now about like a spiritual war that is happening in the world where
100%.
You go like this. I think the thing about the children is it's like such a demonic force to like destroy purity.
Yep.
And it's like the highest form of evil there is like the innocence of children.
Yeah.
And it's always military guys that, because they've had first-hand experience. For everyone else, it's like Pizzagate in America, and this is all bullshit.
Yeah, they don't believe it.
And they don't believe that it happens. But like, if we believed that the Taliban is doing it, or other leaders in the Islamic community in the Middle East, it's just accepted. If the Catholic Church, this institution of our own culture, is taking advantage of people en masse in these areas, the secular religion of government in America, or banking, or whatever that is, would they be the outlier that they're also not
exactly right?
Sick fucks. Like, if every other power structure seems to have evil people at the top who are doing this, wouldn't it naturally follow that this probably is something going on here?
Yeah, you'd think so, but they have too much money to cover it up. Or too much power. See, like countries like Iran, you are allowed to marry girls at the age of 9. It's in their law. You're allowed to do that. And, in the Quran, the Prophet Muhammad, he married a girl at the age of 6 and then waited until 9 years old to have sex with her. Yeah.
So, well, I don't have any military training and I'm a bitch, so I've got nothing to say against the Prophet.
He might come strike you down.
So, I'm sure you've got a fucking safe room here, but I've got a little cottage with a window right on the fucking road. So the Prophet, what's wrong with this bloke?
But it is. It's just raw in their country. And then you see stuff like happening in the UK at the moment. Like the UK has been flooded with immigrants, and this type of law and the Sharia law, how they live that life, is now getting integrated into their society.
Well, there is that really topic that guy Gad Saad has that book called Suicidal Empathy, which is like, you want to.
What's that?
It's just the concept that you want to help people who have escaped conflict, or you feel like they're escaping poverty or whatever, and you bring them into your fold as a culture. But it's a suicidal empathy, because it's like these some of these cultures just simply don't mesh with the Western way of life.
Exactly right, yeah.
And you go, instead of saying, hey, we're taking you in, but there's sort of a social contract here that we don't do this. It's like, well, who are we to... I wouldn't want to be seen as racist to attack anyone else's culture. So, we're going to look the other way on this one. And we'll just hope, which is kind of what it seems like they were doing in the UK, which is like, well, let's just hope that if we're nice to them for long enough, they'll become more like us. And it's like, or will we become more like them?
Yeah.
They don't really count on that one.
Yeah. I seen a stat the other day that there's more Muslim people having babies in the UK than there are.
Oh, of course, because we don't have children.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, I don't. Some people will be like,
on the bags.
Yeah, some people. Everyone's on the bags. I mean, listen, man. With the fertility rate amongst us is so horrific. I don't know if you've watched this documentary by this woman called Bonnie Blue, but she had to be fucked by 1,000 men to get pregnant because the sperm of Western men is so bad. And that's such a harrowing tale that, that must have been a tough ordeal for her to have 1,000 loads in it. And, they used to say it takes a village to raise a child, but it now takes a village to conceive one. And so I just want to send my condolences to Mrs. Blue.
Wow.
I thought that was so sad that she had to do that. But we are told not to have kids. Like culturally, it's like very obvious. Like, don't do it. Think about your career.
Yeah, it's too much money.
It's too much. It's going to cost money. It's like, what's life for?
Yeah, mate, I've got one in the oven at the moment with my wife.
Do?
Yeah,
congrats.
And I definitely want to have a few of them. Breed little warriors.
Well, I think we're pushing back against like the sort of selfish impulse of the me that we had, where we're all told like the best thing for your life is just have as many holidays and experiences and possessions as you can. Like you don't want kids to get in the way.
Yeah.
Like what a sick fucking top-down message that was. Like they're going to get in the way. Like it used to be like I want to have a family. Life is about me having a family. What a great thing that would be. Now it's like I want to live, so I can't have a family.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to live. Because I want to go to Europe for the 4th time.
Yeah.
I've got to go back to Europe again. What? Why? Dude, have a fucking... Just go down and get a double espresso down the road and have a fucking kid.
That's it,
It's
mate.
and I say this to myself, I'm 33 and I've resisted it for so long but it's... If you live in a society that makes it hard for you to have a family... Because I wouldn't describe myself as conservative or left-wing or whatever. All I think is that the society is here to help you reproduce and to have kids.
Well, that's the goal, right?
That's the goal. We're an organism. That's our point of existence. If the country makes it hard, really hard for you to have a family, it's failing. It's a failure.
Yeah, that's it. We don't need to import people. We just need people to have more kids.
Well, because that's the quick sugar fix, isn't it? Which is, and then they say that in America all the time, but who's going to do these jobs? Who's going to do those jobs? Well, I don't know. The people from here, if you pay them properly.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry that you want a slave labor class.
Yeah.
And you would like to have, rich families having their kids and middle class people basically breed themselves out, and we get more obedient people from the third world who will come here and work for little.
Yeah.
But that's not what a country is. Like, none of these politicians seem to say that. It's like we just yammer on about whatever else is in the news, but it's like, why can't how did we go from a position where a dad could work and get a house for like 3 children and mum could stay at home to like 2 parents grinding away to get nowhere?
Yeah.
Who failed? And that's why I hate conservatives a lot in the political parties, because they're like, I'm a conservative. What did you conserve? How'd you go?
That's it. We lost it.
What are we looking at? It's like we've got people who simply cannot afford to have children and are essentially castrating themselves for financial reasons. Oh, well done, mate.
Yeah, I hate the political party system in Australia. Like, if you look at the donors on it, they're just controlled by the same people, both parties. It's just like doesn't work.
No, man, that's the way I'm like, I want to live in either New York City or just start a regional town by myself with 8 friends.
Where do you think you'd start it?
It's got to be near the coast. I don't know. Greenland. Let's just do Greenland. Let's beat Trump on that.
Yeah, I was about to say, take it before Trump. Secure the Arctic Circle.
I don't know. What's going on in KI? Let's just fucking...
Man, the last time I was in KI, the whole thing burnt down.
Yeah,
that was when the fires were there.
Well, that's when it regenerates. with regular people who are just wanting to have some families. But a lot of this is just me talking to myself because I wrestle with that at the moment where I already think I'm behind the 8 ball. Like, you've got one on the way. I don't have one. I have a girlfriend where we're going to start trying.
Yeah.
But I regret it. I'd like to have a lot, because I think also we're all from broken families. The boomers all broke up.
Yeah, my parents broke up. My wife's parents broke up.
Yeah, yep. We're all broken up. And I guess they probably had some psychic damage on us where we are all like, this seems to be a failed institution. But then my girlfriend's family in the States, they're like a very, very together, tight unit German family that lives in Chicago. And it took me a lot. Like, I'd sit there at the table and they're all like talking about each other's day and they're like genuinely invested and how can we help you with this? And my first gut instinct was like, yuck.
Get the fuck away from me.
This is fake, isn't it? Like, God, they're so full of shit. And I'm waiting. Like, there's a cynic in me. Is like, what's the really going on here? Huh?
Yeah.
I bet this family's disintegrating at the seams because I've got such a cynical view, and they're not. And then like watching that and seeing like the family is like a tight base, and how all of the kids that have like come from that have something that I didn't have. I thought, well, you got two options in life, isn't it? It's like you can be damaged by whatever your family life was and go, I'll just do the same thing. Or you could go, let's not do that.
Yeah.
Let's try and, form a predictable base for a family that they could have like a place to home back to. I talk about this in my show a lot, which is like our parents, most of them they were told like, be happy. You need to be happy. If you're not happy, give up on it.
Yeah, I spoke about this yesterday.
Yeah, if you're going to be happy. Yeah. But the Nana and Papa generation, dude, you go to their house and it's like, it's not a flash house, but it's like all the photographs of all the family members. And when you walk in there, it's like you walk back to a different time and they've been married for 60 years, hated each other for 58. They made it work though. But they've made it work.
Yeah.
And
they're from the generation where if something's broken, like, you don't just leave it, you fix it. Yeah.
Right, and that goes all the way to like the microwave that they had. That like my grandparents have like the initial microwave that they got the patent on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they keep making that thing work.
It's probably giving out radiation.
Oh yeah, Papa died from prostate cancer from that. But it's not broken. Nana still won't get rid of it. We think that's weird. They're like, it killed him. It's literally seeping green juice. She was like, it still works.
Adds a bit of sterile. It's all right.
But I have so much admiration for that age group.
Yeah.
And we were brought up looking at them like, oh, so look, they were only together with each other, my grandparents. 14, small farm town.
Only together with each other?
Only together, that's it.
Wow.
From the age of 14, they were together until my grandfather died. And I remember looking at that thinking, when I was like 21, oh, Pop didn't get any pussy.
Yeah.
What is that like?
But like realistically,
and like Nana, you didn't want to go backpacking and get rooted by a dude from Monaco. Nan, you didn't want to be in a boat getting stooped. She's like, I've had 5 children and a lovely life, and I was loved and respected and looked after. And you're like, oh, imagine if you were a modern woman and you had 30 cocks through you on Hindley Street, and you were, if only you were liberated from the patriarchy, only to get to the age of 35 without any men taking you seriously enough to have a family where you need to spend 50 grand on IVF.
Well, apparently it takes 1,000 guys.
It takes 1,000 guys. She could have been Bonnie Blue, but she grew up. See, my Nana, and this is like the tragic story of many of our Nanas. Our Nanas grew up with like a husband and a family for a long period of time. And they were, that was like that was a prison. Whereas if only they could have been liberated from that prison and been Bonnie Blue. Think about that. My Nana could have been cream pied by thousands of men in balaclavas and used that disposable income to buy as many possessions to make that pain go away. But instead, she was just loved by a man and they lived in one home together. And I literally cry thinking about that sometimes.
Oh, man, we have changed as a race. We have changed.
Yeah. So, it's not. And if you've got a grandmother and she's trapped in a marriage which has been supportive and loving for many years, but not that exciting, tell her she's still got time. There's probably a lot of kink porn out there where she could get out there and start doing her own OnlyFans as well. Get her off the pension.
Just get her working.
Hey, just get, you know what? Hashtag buy a Nana ring light. She's still got time to leave Papa. That's the benefit of the modern world that we live in. Like, There's just so many more options available to trapped housewives, which is sexual slavery.
Oh man, I think my fucking stomach hurts. My mate said this because one of my friends went and watched your show.
Yeah.
And he said he literally left with his stomach sore from it. You know, the first time that I actually...
I sell very low quality beverages.
It's the Posca.
It's the Posca, mate. It's the fucking Posca. Come on, mate.
You know that I went and the first comedy gig I ever went to go see was with my wife. She was like, let's go see Amos at the Rhino Room. And
like
6
just
years
pre-COVID.
Yeah, pre-COVID, ages ago. And you did a skit where this... you were talking about buying a puppy and you want a puppy because you don't want to adopt a dog because you want that puppy smell.
Oh, yeah.
And some fucking lady piped up. She's like, you need to adopt a greyhound.
Oh, yeah.
And she just didn't shut up.
Yeah, you story of my life.
You stopped the show, turned to her, destroyed her, continued the show. I
regret that now.
But you did it so good. You just tore her like strip off strip. It was like, you know, someone like cutting a fine bit of meat.
There's a certain kind of person that really hates my show, and I get that. That's fine. Look, I'm not for everyone. You know, the thing is like I'm not one of those comedians that's like they're coming for me, because if you believe in freedom, I've got to read you a review I got. I think this is funny. If you believe in freedom of speech, you also have to believe in freedom to be loathed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not a very normal comedian in Australia. I do say some outrageous things about putting them, you know.
What about freedom of speech?
Just whatever. You know, I probably have
no topic.
I probably have an inkling to be a little bit traditionalist, you should say.
Yeah, I like that.
Somewhat, you know.
So
you're not meant to say that.
You sort of hammer that new progressive type life, or
because I probably have had periods of that, and then I've had some breakthrough moments in my life where I was probably a young, shitty little leftist when I was young.
Yeah, I think we all were.
And I remember a breakthrough. I can't remember who it was, but it was someone who was really conservative, and he was giving a speech. And I said to myself, this guy's a fucking idiot. This guy's a fucking moron. And I literally heard those words come out. And he was a PhD in law.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was 53 out of 100 average at Adelaide Law School. And I just had a wave of humility come over to me where I went, is he? He's an idiot, is he? This guy.
Yeah.
Seems very eloquent. He might have a different point of view to you, but he's an idiot. That seems very easy to say that he's an idiot. I don't know what, it was like a life-changing moment for me where I just went, well, he's not an idiot. It's different. Engage with the argument, not just some visceral programming that you've had to think that anyone who says these things is fucking stupid. And the best thing you can do is be like, I'm dumb. Actually.
Yeah.
I'm really dumb. I'm pushing shit up a hill with this IQ and I give it a go, you know? And so like, then I started to really do my comedy from that perspective of like, well, do you really think as a society that we're all so much smarter than fucking St. Thomas Aquinas? You're better than Thomas Aquinas?
Yeah.
You're smarter than like, you know, the founding fathers? I don't think so. Though there might be some merits in, you know, Christian theology that we've been given, passed down. If every generation thought there's something in this, and I remember being like a rampant atheist, like, do we throw the baby out with the bathwater here? There's no good ideas.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't know. So I talk about this a lot in comedy, and I just try and be honest. I think that's the real job of comedy, is like, just say what you think is real. I might be wrong, but I'm not lying.
Yeah.
Just give that a go. And some people like it. Like, this is 2 reviews from last night, because the audience can leave reviews now.
Oh, awesome.
The best comedy I've seen at the Fringe. Can't wait to see him again. Great content. 10 out of 10. Really loved this comedian. Made me think. Loved it. Amanda W. Next one. This was the most disgusting comedy show I have ever seen. Riddled with racism and misogyny. Jokes about domestic violence when one woman is murdered every 4 days in this country. Appalling. Gross attempt at attacking woke culture. What many people consider just basic empathy. The ick factor is 3 billion. Cancel this guy. So, you know, I'm a little bit like coriander.
Yeah.
Some people are into it. Some people think it's I'm a tool of Satan.
Mate, everyone's got an opinion.
Yeah, but you know, as long as it's, I just look at that and go, all right,
cool.
Like you felt something. You know, rather that than you sort of sit there and go, it's a bit boring.
She got real angry.
I was real angry.
I wonder what
Some people like legit like hate me. Like you have to learn that. Hey, you're like fucking people hate you when you do comedy. Sometimes hate.
Yeah, I think having an opinion, people hate you. Doesn't matter which side.
But if you played music, I've never like left a pub and I'm driving. I'm like, that fucking guitarist, dude. I hated him. He ruined my night. He's a bad person. You know what I mean? Like everything about him is sickening.
Do you think you've ruined their day today?
I think I've made their day. It's good to have something that you're rallying against.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Like it's good to. I like to feel things. I don't know about. I like to be like, even disliking stuff is. You should always be thinking about what you hate, and then. But naturally, well, if you hate something, that means you love something. So every time I hate someone, I go, why do I hate them? It's because I love something, and I think that they're getting in the way of that thing that I love.
Yeah, I like that.
It's always a good way to go. Like, no, I don't just hate you for no reason. It's because I think this is a higher calling, and you're ruining that.
Yeah.
But most people just feel immediate hate, and then you just got to walk through like, well, why?
So what's it about your show that someone is going to say that sort of stuff over it? Like, are you just like, is it calling out?
I did point at that woman and say she was a big fat slut. I regret that. No, it's just I'm trying to think of the bits in there in the show that are probably contemptible. I think the bit when they said race, it's really funny because it's always a white woman that will accuse me of racism.
Oh, yeah.
When I have a bit in the show about how when I get a cab, I'll always ask the Indian cab driver like where he's from.
I always do that.
And I say, the joke in the show is I say, and because this is a true story that happened with me where I had more woke friends with me once and they were like, don't ask him where he's from. He's from here. I'm like, he's not.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. I said, where are you from? And I'm like, let me guess, Punjab or Gujarat? And this guy's like, lights up. He's like, you know Gujarat?
Northern India.
Northern India. I'm like, you guys be traveling. And then we're chatting about cricket.
They're mostly farmers in that region.
Dude, you just talk to this guy. And I'm like, when did you get here? He's like, I came 5 years. I'm like, oh, my family came in the 1970s. You love it? Yeah, I love it, bro. It's great. And then me and this dude are chatting, and I've got a friend there, and I'll never forget this mate, super woke guy. And he was like, it's super inappropriate, to stereotype him immediately like he's going to like cricket. And I said back to him, 100% I'm racist. Let's just do what you do, hey? Let's just get in the car and make the brown guy drive us home in silence. I think that's better. Like I was just using stereotypes in order to get to know an individual who I'm sharing a moment in time with, but I now realise that was wrong. So
to be honest, I don't really hang around anyone that would have questioned me about that.
Yeah, well, I do.
Yeah,
but that's because I'm in the fringe world. I'm in the arts world.
Arty world. Yeah.
And it's just it's the hypocrisy of all of that that's always bothered me, because so many of these people that are like, that's racist. They've got the widest friendship groups in the world. It's like they all look the same. Same shit fringe, thin, crappy tattoos, chubby.
Blue hair.
Yeah, that's the only people of colour they've got. Blue hair, pink. It's the hair colour. That's the only diversity in their life. Because they're like, we love people of colour. And you go, oh, do you mean like people from Somalia? No, I mean Jenny. She's got a red rinse. She sticks it to the patriarchy of Stan. Get the fuck out of here.
Mate, I jumped in a cab one time, asked a guy where he's from. He's like, I'm from Afghan. I'm like, oh, you Pashtun? Yeah, Pashtun. And because I can speak a bit of Pashtun.
Yeah.
And I started speaking Pashtun with him. And my wife was just like, this is awesome.
Of course.
It's awesome.
Of course.
Seb's talking his language.
People want to you want to connect to different people.
Ask him where he's from. He was from, where is he from? Like North of Kabul area, which is like, north. I didn't get down there. I was down south. But spoke to him for like 45 minutes about Afghan, where it's going. But
be honest, when he was then having a conversation into his speakers like this, you were a little bit flashbacky, where you were like, he's calling you in a fucking
I need to break this guy's neck quickly.
You're like, don't whisper.
Yeah, and then from there, I need to take control of the steering wheel, pull up the handbrake, put it in park, get out, next cab.
I love going. I go to La Wash Bakery. It's near my house here. It's like an Afghan bakery.
Okay.
And I go in there, and there's just heaps of dudes from Afghan. And
got chai tea.
I love talking. I love talking to. Who doesn't love talking about where they're from? When I'm in Australia or in America, I love to talk about my country. I'm Croatian. I'm a Croatian citizen. And so I've just never felt that way when someone's like, you're talking to a brown person about their culture, and it's like, don't ask them that. You're otherizing them or whatever. Mate, I want to talk to you all day about like what Croatia's like, what the war was like,
how you grew up,
and even with Afghanis, there was a bunch that I knew growing up who had come here from the war, and I always wanted to talk to them about it. In the same reason, I'm like, well, my family, I got cousins who've died in the civil war of Croatia. It was something that we discuss all the time. It's like, that's what's going on, and you would have and if you knew anything about them, like you said, like, you know, talking like Pashtun, I'll be talking about like what was the Soviets like?
Yeah,
what was that? I mean, the Afghans will give you amazing stories. I mean, what an interesting place. Empires have all crumbled trying to take them on.
Yeah, Alexander the Great couldn't conquer it. Well, he conquered it, but just couldn't keep it under control.
Couldn't keep it. And now, I mean, I have not been. Did you, when you were there, did you think about the fact that you're like, I am just another foot soldier?
Yeah.
In the grand game of Afghanistan.
Of like 3,000 years, people trying to conquer this
right?
place. Yeah.
And you must think to yourself, like, you've got all this modern equipment, but you go like, I've had Soviet counterparts, I've had, you know, Greek counterparts.
It was very,
Romans.
mate. It was like really, really. Now, like I think of it now because I didn't really think of it then because I was just young, stupid, and full of testosterone, wanting to take over the world. But now I look back, I'm like, man, I was a part of like a war history.
And do you see the is it the landscape? Like
beautiful landscape. Is beautiful over there. These crazy mountains, and then you go from desert to mountain, and all of a sudden there's this water stream going through, and it's thick, luscious jungle, 50 meters side of the water stream. That's what you call the green belt. A lot of the fighting happening is in there, and then, you know, you just got rolling hills forever, and then you get to these beautiful, you know, mountains everywhere. It's just it's a very picturesque place. I wish it was.
And were you there in the snow? Ever? Did you ever see those snow regions?
No, so we went over there in the summer, which is good because I'd rather go in there in the summer because that's when all the fighting happens.
When I bought my holiday package.
Yeah.
But it's only 80,000 Qantas points, which was great.
Yeah, how'd you get but no, mate, it's beautiful countryside, but it gets very, very, it's close to the Himalayas.
Yes.
So it gets very cold there as well. We left right before it got cold. Which was good to leave that time because not much happens over in Afghan in the winter.
You know, the guys that fought in Vietnam, they always talk about the guys that were there, and then they sort of ended up. They moved to. They were trapped there in that they wanted to live in Vietnam, Cambodia. You know, there's those old vets that like crazy for it. Picked up parts of the culture that they enjoyed.
Yeah.
How many people do you know who are like, dude, I came home from Afghan and I've got a little rug and I love dates, tea.
Probably not because we didn't.
And a fucking flatbread.
Yeah, we didn't really get to because like like they got to hang out within their cultures and stuff like that.
Yes,
and a lot of them probably just spent a bit of time over in brothels and stuff like that. Like, there was none of that in Afghan. So
no one, you don't have one colleague who got an Afghan wife? No, he wasn't walking through a market and was like, those eyes look all right.
Only those eyes.
Just those. Her eyes were only for me.
Yeah, those hands look like they haven't been working.
Didn't happen.
Nah.
Nobody. Like no intermarriage whatsoever. Even with like, what about with I think we're all fascinated about the translators. And like in America about, you know, people that were translating and helping.
I've got a wild story about that.
Yeah.
Absolute wild story. One of my mates, he was there for the 29th of what I was explaining to you before. We had the 3 guys get shot.
Yep.
He was a combat first aider, so he was the one working on all the guys trying to keep them alive. Unfortunately, couldn't. But the interpreter that night that was attached to that Australian unit, 5 years later, when my mate was redoing his house, he was one of the Afghan tilers that rocked up redoing his house, and those two were together in Afghan, trying to keep guys alive. And then 5 years later, he just rocked up to his house on a job, didn't realise they booked each other. He's like, I know you. And the guy's like, I know you as well. And he's like, mate, were you there the 29th? He's like, that was me. I was the interpreter.
Did you give him good rates or?
Yeah, mate.
Mate, give his business.
Mate, he
didn't know how to grout.
Yeah,
fucking great.
It was terrible. Stole some shit. It's like, well, the house was
beautiful story. Absolutely rubbish job.
Yeah, pissed on my lawn.
Because I think that's okay. So to go full circle, I know it's not my show, but you know I used to host things, and
go for it.
Naturally comes in for me.
Yeah,
coming back around with the impending feeling of armed conflict that definitely there's wanted from above. Feels like we're in fall of the post-World War II liberal order.
No one's really seen war.
Yeah, no one's seen it.
Like hardcore war.
What would it take for you, having been through what you've been through, and a lot of your friends, you think, or just for you can only really speak for yourself, to like, what would make you enlist again? Would it have to be an invasion of your own homeland?
Yeah.
That'd be it.
Yeah, so I've said this a few times. There's only two things that I would fight for again. I would actually go back and fight for again. One, if Australia was being invaded, because that means my wife, my kid, my mum, my family, their way of life is under threat. So I'll fight for that. The only other reason that I would go fight overseas for is to stop child trafficking around the world.
Right.
If someone said to me, hey, we're signing up a bunch of blokes, we're going to go kill people that traffic children.
Well, I have heard of a pizza shop in Washington, D.C.
I would be like, I'm in. So,
yeah,
mate. So
that's what it would be, huh?
That would be. So, but no, I've got no interest in some fucking war over in Europe. No interest in them fighting each other. Nothing.
No, and I imagine if the only thing we would be able to provide probably is our SAS, right? Because those guys are
well, like
small elite unit teams.
Them and two commando. Yeah. But apart from that, people saying boots on the ground, blah blah blah. Like you don't understand the ramifications with politicians saying that. Like Albanese came out.
Albanese boots on the ground. Keir Starmer. These European countries are like, we're going to essentially sacrifice a generation for what the Donbass. For an intra-Slav dispute.
They're said by weak men, unfortunately. So.
And that is the more controversial position than going, we need to find any way to bring peace here because we don't want this to blow out of hand. And then if someone goes, boots on, they get to be, they all think they're Churchill. Yeah. We resist. They all think they're going to have a statue. We're like, let's kill more working class kids in the West, eh?
Yeah, mate. I've had a guy on my podcast named Matt Williams. He's been over reporting on the front lines. Used to be an Australian soldier. Mm-hmm. Very, very good independent reporter. And he's like, mate, there is a generation in Ukraine from the age of 18 to 29 are wiped out. The average age in the Ukraine army at the moment is 48 years old.
Yeah, it's like the Collingwood midfield.
Yeah, but they're locked and loaded in their forward line. So,
mate, that is people don't. You give them these facts like that, So I'm got my Croatian citizenship, and I only did the ceremony 3 weeks ago, and a few of my family members were like, "Weird timing from you."
Yeah.
Like you want that?
Yeah.
You want that passport?
I've got a question for you. It's a reverse question. What would it take for you to sign up and fight for Australia?
If I was just the fight for Australia. I guess I'd honestly have to be court-martialed.
So I'm the guy with the voice. I don't need to pull the trigger.
No, I guess it would have to be that it's like an all hands on deck.
Yeah.
But I can't see us.
I
can't see us being invaded. There's no need. We've just been economically invaded and sold off.
Yeah.
Our greatest defense against China is that they own the joint.
That's it. They can't invade something they already own.
We don't have, and we don't have any. We've been destroyed a couple of ways, right? Number one is just like people aren't going to go fight for a country that they don't feel. First of all, like I was bringing back the points about can you raise a family here? How does the economy feel like? In another time where you felt like you had a share in your own country, and it seemed like the Australian dream was alive for young people. You probably were like, this has given everything to me, right? And my family, I'm going to defend it. But right now, you've kind of been told from day dot that your country sucks, and it's genocidal in its origin, and the land's not yours anyway.
Yeah, and young men are a danger to society.
A danger to society. You'd go, well, fuck me, man. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to go fight for a place that from the not from the general populace, but from the media and the people in charge of that. I'm a land thief anyway.
Yeah.
That's not a great military strategy to tell the bulk of the population that it's not theirs anyway.
Yeah.
If there's a ground war, you go, not ours, is it? So.
No. Yeah, they can fight if they want to.
They can fight it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's mate. We're in this cultural war at the moment as well. It's so weird.
I'm like any dude. I'm kind of obsessed with. That's why I still like this. A guy that served in the military. Like I spent my life just watching World War II docs, Vietnam docs.
On the way here, when we were walking past my lounge room, I was watching the history of England and how it rose to its power.
I saw you had one of those those infographic videos of it, and but from the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
Alexander the Great. If you're a dude, it is biologically that is like in you and you're fascinated about it. But other cultures raised you to be a warrior and to die and to be looking forward to it. And we're not. We're raised as consumers to stay alive and spend and think about like what's best for our comforts.
Yeah.
Which is like, I'm not saying that you want necessarily with like a peaceful world where you like don't need that. But if we were to be drafted, like we're not.
No.
We're not raised to go that way. We're scared of death as a culture. Other cultures were like, I long for honor.
What do they call it in the Afghan army? Inshallah.
Inshallah.
God willing.
God willing. You know, that's a powerful, really, really powerful force, which is like if I go, I'm going for something higher than myself and I'm in the afterlife. We don't believe in anything beyond the physical realm in our society. So it's like, I don't want to do basic. That's like basic training. I was going to go on a vacation.
Yeah.
And like, I've already like pre-booked Ibiza.
Yeah.
Like, can the Chinese invade next summer? Because I've been fucking fanging.
Yeah.
For this Bali trip. And like, if I die, I'm dead. I'm dust. I mean nothing. I never had a threesome. That's like what everyone's thinking.
There's no honor to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's no honor.
Because like you're just like, no, you die, done. But I mean, like, yeah, maybe for me there was a bit of that like honor type and really be proud to be Australian. But yeah, my cousin was a big influential person in my life. Unfortunately, he died over in Afghan.
Yeah.
And I deployed like 18 months or 2 years after he died over there. I deployed over there. So there's a massive sense of pride for me to go into his footsteps, you know what I mean? And do the same job that he'd not do the exact same job, but do the same sort of job that he did over in Afghan. I
think, the other thing with like, do you feel, so other, you know, the Vietnam vets feel like they were loathed, even though they were drafted and they were made to feel like they're a batch of war criminals and they never got the parades.
Yeah, the unfortunate word is baby killers, they called them.
Yes. What's it been like for... Because I can only speak from my own perspective. When I meet someone from Afghanistan, maybe from my political bent, is I have this thing of like, man, like highest respect. Maybe it's because if you've got a sport background, you're like these disciplined people that put things beyond themselves. So you naturally... I always seem to like military people from that avenue. But I always have this feeling of like, man, you must be gutted that a lot of it was built on lies.
Yeah, you can say it. Yep. Yeah, no,
and so we feel for them like, man, that's got to be frustrating.
Yeah.
And does that... I mean, that's like an awkward thing when, you know, you've had friends who die or whatever where you're like, are you angry? Or do you just think that's just the way it goes and it's probably always been like that?
It's probably always been like that, right? And but it doesn't take away from like the relationships and the brotherhood that we built when we're overseas. So that's what I hold on to. You know, for me personally, I'm like, we didn't...
How close you've got a good close group now?
Yeah, really close group. Like some of the guys you've seen that have been on my podcast.
For sure.
Call them regularly. Guys that I've been overseas with, we'll be texting every second day and stuff like that, you know, just sending each other memes.
But you're like a long line, like your brotherhood that you have. It puts you more in unison with almost every other human that's ever lived as a man than the modern man.
Correct.
Right. I mean, you lived a way of life that men have been doing. Since the first Neanderthal carved a bat.
Yep. Yeah.
And he was like, we need 4 other Neanderthals to guard from this fucking saber tooth.
Yeah. Or these other Neanderthals.
Or these other Neanderthals. And it's like, ever since then, that's the way that human history has been ordered. And men feel lost, and there's like this male depression, and people are castrated, and they don't know what it is to be a man. And I always think, well, the military guys, look, they risk death, but they also have lived in a very natural sense what men have done forever.
Yeah, I think if you put it down like that, that's probably one of the coolest ways someone has ever put it. And it makes me have a sense of pride if you put it like that. It does, because like I've fought in a war, and for thousands of generations, people have been doing that, and it's given people a sense of pride and purpose. Like, unfortunately, someone dies on the other side, but and whatever you're fighting for, political parties or whatever, like at the time, we didn't know any better. Do you know what I mean? It was just like... also,
you know yourself, right? that's not many people know your, like, high stress situations, you would know who you like are.
Yeah.
Who is it that said that? Like, no, that's Khabib when he's like, I'm going to introduce you to yourself.
Yeah.
When I put you in the ring, you'll find out. I take people. What does he say? I take people into dark waters and they get to know who they really are.
Yeah, it's like when you get a crocodile just take you.
Yeah.
And they just, you're in their world.
But like, there are people who are having fucking anxiety meltdowns because they've got to get the tax return in on time. Like when stress comes. So I could only imagine what it's like for you to know, like, I've faced my mortality, and then I know what my character is.
Yeah, maybe I'll put it like this to you. For this upcoming run that I've got, I'm doing 1,000 Ks in 20 days, so averaging around 52K a day. I think to myself, it is going to be physically brutally hard, but it can't be any harder than getting, like, I can't, on this run, I can't get shot at, can't step on an IED, no kids are running up to me with a suicide vest. How fucking hard is it?
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
Not that hard.
I just got to run, right? And like, people were supporting me along the way. They're giving me food, they're giving me water. No one's shooting at me, no one's doing anything. It's not that hard.
You must have taken that with you for everything, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like waiting in line for fucking...
I get a bit frustrated at that. I'm like, why these people take so fucking long? How is this not?
Okay, you go the other way. You're not like, what's waiting in line for 30 minutes? You know? You're like, I fucking died for you, dogs. Move aside.
People getting off planes?
Yeah.
Surely we could get this fucking better. Like, surely.
Oh, dude, I would have the Australian military take over like Jetstar any day.
Yeah, mate.
I'd get you guys to run that.
They need to take over Qantas. Those fucking scumbags.
It can't be too long to the ADF. If the ADF just bundled people into the back of a Hercules and just threw out on a tarmac, it would be better than.
Mate, I was a paratrooper. Just put a parachute on their back and kick them out.
How many times did you jump out of a plane?
I think I've done about 19 or 20.
Is it like getting off heroin? Like, do you occasionally just go for a social jump? Where you're like, I just need to get it out of the system.
Yeah, it's not really that thrilling, to be honest. Like,
can I buy something for you? It would be very fun for me to get you to go skydiving as a tourist, where you're strapped to another dude, and he's giving you the talk like, "You're pretty scared, mate. Don't worry, you're with me. Hey, you're strapped to me."
You have to do it with me, though.
I'd go with you just to watch you in the instructional.
Next time you're back in Adelaide, we'll organise it.
You're scared? No, you don't have to be scared, mate. I've been doing this a long time, mate. Yeah, I'm a very brave instructor of skydiving.
All right. Let's start to wrap this up anyway, because I know you've got places to be. But, man, I asked this question to all my podcast guests. So if you give your 18...
5 inches. Yeah. Sorry. It's what you do with it. And what I do is struggle to get my girlfriend pregnant, so I'm not doing anything with it.
So if you could give your 18-year-old self one bit of advice about life, what would it be?
Stop being embarrassed at how bad you are at the beginning and just keep going, because eventually you get better at things.
Yeah, nice.
And I regret everything that I stopped when I regret not playing guitar because I was bad. Now I always think to myself, I would have had 15 years.
Yeah.
I would have kept making videos. I made videos and I thought they were lame. Yeah. Now I wish that I had continued. But I got 800 views. This is humiliating. Stopped.
Yeah.
Learning a language. All of the things that I thought I'm too late for. I'm now 33 and I'm starting them now.
I always think to myself, it would be awesome. I know one other language not very well, but it would be awesome to play piano, be able to play guitar. I always think to myself that.
And the other thing, and then this sounds like a joke, but it's genuinely real. When you take heaps of oxycodone post-surgery, make sure you take stool softener, because I've had fissures in my asshole now for 8 years and it has genuinely changed my life. Like, if we kept talking for 10 minutes, I'd have to have a break. When you have a torn up arsehole, maybe I would join the military to end the conversation. If my fissures and hemorrhoids don't improve, I would long for the bullet from Al Qaeda. Like, they'd be like, "Why is this Westerner running towards us?" And I'm like, "Because I've had blood on toilet paper for 7 years. I haven't taken a shit sans blood." Liberate me.
That's one way to end the podcast.
Dude, yeah, I'm telling you, this it's awful.
All right, mate. Well, Amos Gill, thanks very much for popping in.
Thanks for having me,
I appreciate it. That wraps up this episode. If you enjoyed it, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and follow. It really helps out our channel. If you're listening on a podcast platform, a quick review goes a long way. And don't forget to share the episode, tag your friends, and drop a comment. I always appreciate your feedback and love hearing your thoughts. Until every voice is heard.